Hello everybody, I am the Black Sigma, or you could just call me Eric, and welcome to another Zelda month video, doing the Majora's Mask Perfect Cycle. Now, you may be wondering, Eric, what do you even mean by the perfect cycle? I'm gonna do a bit of a long explanation and then a bit of a TLDR, so you can skip to that one with a timestamp that I'll probably throw on screen. The long explanation is, because of the time travel logic of Majora's Mask, the thing is, it's a time loop, a 3-day loop. Link goes through 3 days, plays the Song of Time, all of his hard work is erased when he is sent back to the beginning. Well, that's technically not true because you do get to keep quest rewards and such, but generally speaking, the effects on the world that Link has had are undone. But when you beat the game and a new day dawns, though you'd expect it would just follow the 3-day loop you just did, it actually sort of combines all the good that Link did in every loop he went through. Sort of like those loops weren't actually erased, but when you get to the 4th day, they were like different coloured sheets of glass layered on top of each other. You look through a blue and red sheet of glass, you see purple, but those are in fact 2 different sheets. The 4th day is like seeing purple, when, the actual events were 2 different things. The perfect cycle is throwing Majora's Mask's idea of the time loop out the window and going with what is initially presented, a loop where all your progress is erased if you reset it. Therefore, the perfect cycle involves doing everything you physically can in just one set of 3 days to try and make the 4th day make sense. Short explanation, Majora's Mask time travel is weird, so the perfect cycle is trying to do everything you physically can in one cycle. Now, there are some things that you can't do at the same time, like the Romani's Ranch side quest and saving the old lady from being robbed happen at the same time. So you have to let that old lady get robbed in order to stop Romani's mind from being wiped. Also, you need to let the old lady get robbed for the biggest, most important quest in the game, the Andrew Kafai side quest. So, we take our losses. But once you've got the trolley problems out of the way, you get a schedule that looks roughly like this. I'm not the one who made this. This was made by a guy whose video I'm putting on screen now to show you that I am using his idea of the perfect cycle. The quest lines that he prioritized in order to make this damn spreadsheet. So now we've gotten that out of the way, time to try and do everything I possibly can in 2 hours and 24 minutes. I think that's how long it is with time slowed down. So, let's see if I truly can get the perfect 3-day cycle. At the top of the screen here, you can see that I have the timetable I'm meant to be working with and an icon of Link and an icon of Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask represents where I should be at, Link represents where I am currently at. Now, the first run goes pretty much as you'd expect. I slow down time, I warp over to the woods, I try to rescue Koume, get lost in the woods because I didn't follow the monkey, end up having to follow the monkey, and I'm already a little bit late. Having found 20 rupees while I was running around lost in the woods, I decided to go get the second red potion that is needed later in the run, hoping that maybe that'd be some time save later. By the time I actually end up entering Woodfall, it's already about 7:45. I'm not quite a full hour behind schedule, but this much time loss this early in the run could probably mean the death of it. On top of that time loss, I spent a lot of time in Woodfall because I didn't really know where all the stray fairies were in advance. I didn't know what I could sequence break using the hook shot and what I couldn't. Eventually ending up beating Odawala at 2:30. Far, far behind schedule. Eventually, I realized I was gonna have to cut out the Skulltula Swamp House if I were to make it through this run, making the race with the Deku Butler around that time. But when I failed this dumb little parkour, I decided that was enough of a linchpin. I needed to reset. So, my second run went a little bit smoother. I started the new day, I slowed time, I withdrew some money from the bank because I knew I would have to buy that red potion again. I went and saved Koume, having memorized the Lost Woods path. I went into Woodfall on time and beat it. With an hour to spare, I beat the Deku Butler, I got to the Skulltula Swamp House. I did it a little bit slow, so I decided to ignore the fact I needed to give a photo of Tingle to his dad. Got to Anju on time, tried to go to Romani, but forgot I needed to bring a powder keg from the Goron area. Bought the powder keg, got to Romani a little bit late, and thus entered Snowhead late. While in Snowhead, I found myself suffering the same terrible fate that I did in Woodfall. I realized that I didn't know the most efficient path through the dungeon while still collecting all the stray fairies. But I was thinking, even with all this lost time, I could skip some of these quests as long as I got to Romani in time, and so I did. I got to Romani in time. And then it hit me like a truck. One of the so-called optional quests I had skipped was the Anju and Kafai quest. I forgot to meet Anju at 11:30 to pick up a letter to give to Kafai. That's a very, very important thing not to miss. And so, I reset the run again. But I would not let myself fail the next time. Start day, slow time, get money, buy potions, save Kawumi, Woodfall go through first room, down to this fairy, to this room, hookshot to chest to be a bit faster, get fairy from hive, go to center, hit I thing because you already have bow, beat frog and talk to frog, enter main room from top floor, activate flower, get fairy here, get to this button to spawn fairy for later, go down to the other room, get all the fairies, use fire arrow on web for speed, kill all the things in dark room for fairy, and back out to the main room because the next room is a total waste of time. Get fairy spawned earlier, head into final room, get fairies, beat Odwalla, Woodfall done. Bottle the princess, leave then warp to be closer to the great fairy to save her. Return the princess, race the butler, Skulltulas are straightforward when you have them memorized. Talk to Andrew, buy the powder keg, arrive at the photo contest and realise I'm too late, even though I'm still within allotted time. Looking it up, the contest ends if you do Woodfall first, and Pancake Sean clearly didn't know this. But you know what? It's Tingle. This man or a version of him would later be a thief, force his brothers into slave labour, one of them probably isn't a brother and was kidnapped, and he's generally a weird guy, so it's probably for the best I didn't get his dad to accept him, and the run is still valid in my eyes. Blow up Boulder, practice with Romani, Snowhead, get the fairies in this room, go to this one and get the fairies. Instead of continuing up, I chose to back out of this room. Enter main room, melt all the ice. Drop down to get this fairy. Enter this room from below. Get this fairy and send the pillar up. Go to this room and push the blocks into place. Hookshot fairy chest. Enter this room, get fairies. Next room, get this fairy. Next room, fairy, main room. Drop pillar a bit. Jump down here so we can go through here to get to these stairs to drop the pillar again. Jump off here for this fairy, fly this way so we can get back to where we were, go up here, fly this way to circumvent the fact I forgot a small key earlier, so I can go backwards for these fairies instead of the intended way. Jump down here to get back up here and go this way for the boss key. Jump down to go up one last time, realise I don't know where to stand for the arrow strat on Got, so fight it normally. Snowhead done. Obviously, I was an hour behind at this point, but I didn't give up and followed the schedule. I made it rain for the composer brother, healed the Gibdo man, healed the invisible soldier, even though that isn't scheduled until later, did the first graveyard mini-dungeon, actually gaining time, talked to Andrew and received her letter, played a song that definitely isn't the Ballad of the Windfish for the Gorman bro, and, finding myself with spare time, saved the Clocktown Great Fairy. Then realised I forgot to save the Snowhead Great Fairy, and did that as well. I still had spare time, so I went and grabbed the Moon's Tier to get a head start on Deku trading, and got to Romani Ranch on time. I did the fight in normal speed because, even though slow time slows the ghosts, it also makes the fight take twice as long, and that annoys me. With the ghosts defeated, it's time for Stone Tower Temple. Hit this ice switch, grab fairy, light arrow the sun to spawn a fairy for later, proceed the normal way through the dungeon. Grab the fairy up there, light arrow this block, hit this switch, go back for fairy. Next room, hit this switch, use light arrows to skip these puzzles, get fairies, and proceed. Realize you forgot to hit this eye switch and do that. Go back to proceeding. Get this fairy, and don't mess up this rolling bit for a second fairy, because the timer's pretty tight. Bomb this switch for a fairy, beat this dude quickly with some well-placed bombs, and grab the fairy. Leave the game until the next day because you're exhausted from pushing yourself too hard. Change from one Majora's Mask shirt to another. Find out that your glasses broke because a tiny screw that holds together the frames went missing, and continue without them. Realize you forgot to deliver Andrew's letter, but luckily you have to leave the dungeon anyway to invert it, so go deliver that letter and flip the temple. Get fairy, next room, get fairy, hold switch, hit sun, hit switch, get key, get fairy. Proceed to Wizrobe fight, get fairy, don't forget key over here, spawn fairy chest here, fight Gomez, get boss key, warp out of dungeon and flip it so you can grab these two fairies. Flip it again, hookshot up here, bomb strat the Igor, and finally onto Twin Mold. I didn't initially know this, but they actually have elemental weaknesses. So I took care of blue with fire arrows before giants masking red. The Wizrobes also have elemental weaknesses based on what they shoot at you. Just so you know that's time save if you ever try this. Anyway, Stone Tower done. Fix the next fairy, race, defeat, and salute a giant Stowchild. Hand over the Moon's Tear, talk to this frog. Sneak into Kafai's room and take his pendant to Andrew. Settle this argument with love. Give this guy a deed, march these cuckoos. Talk to Cremia about hitching a ride, and wear a mask so I don't have to actively try in this quest. Graveyard 2, give this guy a deed, give this guy a deed, give this guy a deed. Blow up the rock so the Gorons can race, which was actually cut out from the original schedule that Pancake Sean made, because he didn't realise that helping Kafai instantly put you to 12 on the third night. But I have so much spare time at this point, I should do as much as I can. Speaking of unscheduled help, I listened to this guy's sad story. Back on schedule, I helped Camaro and the twins. Now it's time to save Lulu's eggs. After getting all 4 eggs from the pirate's stronghold, I strayed from the schedule again. After all, there are 7 eggs, you only have 6 bottles, and 3 of the eggs are in the same area as where you reunite the seahorses. So, for efficiency in my mind, I gave the dude his Gerudo picture, saved and reunited the seahorses, while getting the remaining eggs. I hatched the eggs and... I woke a turtle, also getting Lulu's voice back. Light torches, get fairy, kill Skulltula, get fairy, get fairy, get fairy. Freeze Octorok, turn valve, get fairy, turn other valve. Man, having the ice arrows early speeds things up. Get fairy, beat frog, talk to frog. Get boss key, make the water spin the other way. Get fairy. Can you tell I got tired of trying to make this commentary meaningful? Get fairy, turn valve, get fairy, turn valve. Get fairy, and finally destroy Georg with Fierce Deity. Which I've clearly been using in this run because you can get it to use in boss fights if you get it and beat the game. But should post-game saves really be allowed in Perfect Run? Endgame saves, sure, but post? I dunno. But it's too late to go back now. Talk to this guy to get Kafai's letter to his mother. Speed through the second Skulltula house using the time saved from doing the seahorses earlier. Get to Clocktown, wait for night to hit, and give the postman the letter immediately. Quickly travel to Akana, wear the stone mask to slip past Sakon, help Kafai get his mask back, do the final graveyard, get the frog choir to play, realize you forgot the one frog that's slightly out of the way in the swamp, get that frog, and then get them to play. Use light arrows to skip all of Akana Fortress and just fight the guys so their souls can rest. Actually talk to the postman or he won't leave town. Buy a bottle of Chateau Romani to make the Majora fight even easier. Wait for Anju and Kafai to reunite, drop your remaining rupees in the bank, and head up the clock tower. Play the Oath to Order to summon the 4 giants. Enter the moon to fight Majora. Stop. And consider whether helping the moon children counts towards helping the people of Termina. Besides, I already have the Fierce Deities mask. Giving these children masks surely would be pointless for Link. Yet, doesn't that make it better to do it? Giving help, even if there's no reward, is the altruistic choice. Therefore, the right thing to do, going by all that this run is. Ponder their questions. Your friends, what kind of people are they? I wonder, do those people think of you as a friend? I like to think my friends see me as one as well. I like to hope I bring the same level of joy into their lives that they bring into mine. You, what makes you happy? I wonder, what makes you happy? Does it make others happy too? What makes me happy is a loaded question. Many things do, fleetingly. But will anything bring me true contentment? I don't know. In the short term at least, I'll say Zelda games. And my love of them. I know these games make others happy too. Your true face. What kind of face is it? I wonder. The face under the mask. Is that your true face? Is the mask you wear around others your true self? Or is it the version of you that you are when you're alone? It's tough to answer. But in my own case, I'd say that the mask I wear is a truer version of me than the one under it. The one under it gets far too weighed down by its doubts to show what's truly in its heart. But the mask wears its heart on its sleeve. The right thing, what is it? I wonder, if you do the right thing, does it really make everybody happy? The right thing. There's no true answer. The world isn't so black and white. Everything, nearly everything, is a shade of grey. You can do the right thing to make as many people as you can happy, but it'll never be everybody. Just do the best you can. It's what I do. Agree to a game of good guys versus bad guys against Majora. In its eyes, you are the bad guy. You're doing the wrong thing by fighting it. Even if you make the people of Termina, all your friends happy, you aren't making Majora happy. Should Majora's feelings be considered? Should someone at least question its motive for the terrible things it's done? What if it's just like the Skull Kid it attached to? Just a scared and lonely child, hiding under a mask of destruction and revenge. We'll never know because... And that is how I beat Majora's Mask in the perfect cycle, helping everyone that I possibly could. There were those that I couldn't help. The old lady who got robbed. The hand in the toilet. Nope, no one else comes to mind. Seriously though, it's probably for the best that I didn't help him. In all seriousness, this was a challenge for me. I'm no speedrunner. I don't know my way through Majora's Mask like some kind of god. It's not all photographically stuck in there. Which means you may be wondering why I had trouble on the first two temples and not the second two. Well, Great Bay, surprisingly enough, I did first try, with a walkthrough of the fairies pulled up. Stone Tower. I've got a full confession. I used and abused save states. Oops, this run is completely invalid now. But technically, I've at least proven it's possible. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.